Hey everybody, welcome back to Creative Differences. I'm Jarrett.
I'm Humza.
And today we are going to be talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Sony decided that we were not cool enough to get review copies, so we have to spend our own money on this game when it comes out on July 17th.
Mm-hmm.
But today, all of the people that did get their free copies put out reviews for the game.
Yeah.
And thank God it's not bad.
No. But that's never the consensus from game reviewers of this game is bad, other than Last of Us.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone's been giving it pretty good receptions so far. Let's talk about what really this game, what we thought it was going to be from the first reveal. It first was shown off in 2017, I think.
Was it? It could have been 2016. I can't remember. It's one of those 2 years.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of those because there was Game Awards and then there was E3 with our Flute Boy. And that was the biggest reveal that we got for Ghost of Tsushima.
His name is Cornelius Boots. I looked it up the other day.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Mr. Boots with the beats.
I hope that he plays this game when it comes out and that he's that's my flute.
He's like, yeah, man, I've platinum this game. I got all the collectibles. I got everything. Don't even fucking care, man. I think it'll be really interesting to see what Easter eggs and what people find in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So the game is made by Sucker Punch Studios, which has made Sly Cooper games
and the Infamous
series, which have all been very well revered.
Yeah.
But this is such a different type of game, especially since it being so open world. Were any of the Infamous games, were they open world or were they just linear? Not
on the scale that this game is.
Oh yeah.
Their most recent one, Second Son, was all of Seattle.
Oh. Very cool.
So their open worlds and those games feel very much like a GTA kind of city, almost.
Yeah.
But this game feels like Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I want to talk about, because after that game came out in 2017, open world games that are not Breath of the Wild suck. What Nintendo did with that game took everything good about the open world genre, and perfected it to the point where playing Horizon Zero Dawn released within the same week. And I couldn't even play that game because I got so used to being able to climb whatever I wanted to in Breath of the Wild.
The sandbox had never really been fully utilized
right,
like Breath of the Wild had. It was such a departure from the open world stereotype of just being super dense. It was a good departure from the Ubisoft layout of having just an incredibly dense world,
right?
But somehow feeling empty.
There's no waypoints in Breath of the Wild. You set them yourself. You have to look at the screen rather than the little dots on the mini-map, And that's what I love about Ghost of Tsushima, is that they're taking that same approach of, use your eyes to figure out where to go, and the wind to kind of guide you to these different locations, and the side stuff that can pop up from the birds and the foxes, and they'll go and take you somewhere. That is way more immersive and way more interesting than here's the 47th radio tower on the map that I gotta go blow up or whatever.
Which is fun because there's another PlayStation title of the Spider-Man game, and that feels very much like an older type of open world game.
Right.
But that one as well with the Breath of the Wild just felt so unique and stylized that it was so fun to explore. And I think that Ghost of Tsushima is something that is heavily I feel inspired by Breath of the Wild, and I'm curious to see if it holds that same whimsicality. It definitely has the aesthetic and the beauty of something like Breath of the Wild, with the way that the colors and the foliage, and God, this game just looks so pretty and beautiful.
Yeah. That's what gets me into those. I think the open world genre can be really frustrating when it's not interesting.
Yeah.
When you fill your world with a bunch of stuff to do that isn't fun, that's not going to make me want to keep playing the game.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild has a more, like, you could argue the world is empty, but what you can do in that game is so much fun, and you're so propelled by the exploration factor that I think, as opposed to like Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, where it's like throwing a million like little side quests at you that don't really mean anything, finding the right balance in this kind of gameplay is really intriguing, because I think Ghost of Tsushima's biggest like critique I've seen so far from all of these reviews is that the story is pretty okay, but the gameplay and the world and the exploration is what's going to keep you going, and that's what makes this game great. And I'm willing to play a game like that where the story is not the greatest, but the gameplay is going to keep me interested for that 35 hours, that the runtime of this game is.
Yeah, so let's start with what the story is. The story follows our protagonist, Jin, in the year 1274.
Oh, wow, you know that?
Yeah, I've just been... Dude, all my day today was just watching Ghost of Tsushima reviews. My day has been in bursts of 25, 30-minute reviews. But, yeah, so the story begins with him being a samurai, and he follows his uncle into a battle against the Mongols, and that becomes a bloody mess. And after that battle, Jin must try to get revenge, it seems like. The marketing is very like vague and what exactly Jin is after, but it seems very much like there was a failed battle, and Jin now seeks revenge and is willing to leave behind the ways of the samurai in order to become successful, which is a very cool idea. And I think that there's an element here that is very unique to a lot of games right now. This game isn't a prequel, it's not a sequel.
It's new IP.
It's new IP, it's fresh. So having a story like this is interesting, because there hasn't really been like a dedicated, realistic feudal Japan game. There have definitely been games that are either RTS built.
Yeah, like the Warhammer. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I don't play those games.
Like Shogun.
Yeah, okay, that's like what it is.
And then there are definitely feudal Japan games like Sekiro or like Nioh that definitely lean to more fantasy aspects. But this game is like it's trying to be accurate as much as it can and tell a very realistic story, which it seems fantastic. I'm loving how the gameplay has looked and how the trailers have looked. Everything's very different and unique, but inspired by so much more behind it, whether that's with The Witcher 3 or Breath of the Wild for the world or anything like that. It's beautiful. I love it. Part of me is very interested in how the story is cinematically told. I'm excited to see like what exactly happens and how it's shown, because the cutscenes seem very cinematic, and there are definitely moments where this is based around a Kurosawa movie, which I totally want to rewatch. I haven't seen a lot of his other films that aren't feudal Japan, but there's certainly inspirations from that, and it's very exciting to see a game that's so inspired by film and different types of games.
I will say that the Kurosawa mode, like the black and white filter, it not only just makes it black and white, but it like changes the sound.
Yeah, it's like stereo. They've like kind of dampened it.
Yeah, they make it sound older.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah. I will say though, I probably won't use it.
Nah.
This game looks way too pretty to turn all the colors off.
Absolutely. It feels like you're almost hindering yourself from this beautiful world. I think that if I play this game again, I would love to do some boss fights in the Kurosawa mode.
Yeah, definitely.
They're more kind of centered and seem more cinematic than, running around in black and white. It can be a bit jarring.
Yeah, I feel like I would have a little bit more time or like more trouble navigating if everything was black and white. I mean, I'm excited to try it out, but I think I will be playing this game in its full color.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably use it for like photo mode.
Yeah, definitely.
This is one of the few games that have come out where I've been like, okay, maybe I will play with the Kurosawa mode, or not the Kurosawa mode, but the photo mode.
Yeah. I didn't touch it in Last of Us 2. I think I took maybe one picture.
There have been many beautiful games where I feel like I probably should have, but just nothing was pushing me to do it.
Right.
But this game just has so many features and elements that I feel like photo mode is finally like I'm very excited to see what people come up with. I'm excited to like see what people are able to do with this photo mode.
I'm excited for I've seen some stuff about the calmer moments of like reflecting and you like make haikus.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fun. I saw a screenshot of like Jin's horse like laying in the grass and he's sleeping like on its back. Yeah. And I was like, oh hell yeah.
I like that a lot.
You from what I've seen gameplay wise, you also get to like choose the name of your horse. And not like anything you want. There's like a set list. But one of them is Sora. So I gotta pick it for my boy. I'm gonna be like, where's King Mickey? Like it's time to go.
Jarrett is a Kingdom Hearts stan, and I hate it because it's dumb anime nonsense.
Oh yeah.
It seems pretty cool. It definitely seems like you have relationships with your horse because you're spending so much time with it in this game, which is interesting because with Breath of the Wild you also had a horse.
Yeah.
I never really used it because I found it like not that much different to just climb over everything and constantly flying and climbing, which was a super cool mechanic for that game. But this one seems to be centered and having to cover large areas, and even though it's dense and there's so much going on, you definitely need something to be able to traverse these lands. There's also seems to be like a climbing mechanic for some areas.
I saw like some of the fox shrines, little climbing puzzles.
Yeah, the fox shrines seem to function as other things in this game where there's a certain animal or element that directs you in a direction. So it's like you can follow a fox or a bird and they'll lead you towards some sort of collectible or upgrade point or something.
Yeah, I think
like
the fox shrines are like skill points, kind of.
Mm-hmm. This game, I've only found out through reviews and stuff and gameplay things that have been shown today of how the skill tree works and how the gameplay works and how combat works. And it seems fascinating because it's finally a skill tree that is very literal. It seems that you don't really get skill points to do more things and get more perks. You mostly get to develop your skills, and you can be able to deflect and block things that you couldn't before. You can be able to really master your skills, which seems very cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of the menus and the collectibles, so I'm not as familiar with that, but I am interested in like all the different hats that I can find. I heard that one of the vendors that kind of pops up every time you get into a town, he's like he looks like the creepy mask guy from Majora's Mask, that Zelda game. You haven't played it, so
no.
You're not as familiar, but I mean,
fun little vendor boy.
Yeah, and he sells you hats.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm also kind of excited to be able to like collect the flowers to like dye my gear and like really customize the way that Jin looks.
Yeah, it seems definitely that the playthrough of this game, you have such an intense and thorough customization, but you also have intimacy with it. Like you're not constantly changing armors or weapons. You're not constantly changing colors. Like you're with whatever you choose to put your items into for quite a while, which is very cool because I really like that gameplay style of like, okay, I'm leveling up and I'm getting cool things, but I get to also sit with them for a while.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's not like Destiny where it's like, here's your green stuff, and once you get the blue stuff, it's time to move on, and then there's yellow stuff and purple stuff, and once you get the purple stuff, you just kill everything instantly.
Destiny was weird because with every expansion it's like, all my current gear I can just kind of throw away and use whatever blues are now better than my purple gear from the last expansion. I don't know what it is now, but
Avengers is doing that too.
Avengers
is really sad.
Avengers is doing some weird skill point system and also gear stats, and it's weird. But this game isn't really doing like gear stats. You can upgrade your weapons, you can upgrade your abilities, but there's not like you don't have armor stats as much as like something like Destiny does. You certainly have armor that can take more, and you're able to do more damage with certain weapons.
Yeah, there's more like there's different like kind of builds, like light and like heavy armor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially with the different gameplay styles between the Ghost and the Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard too much about how those like I've heard that you can like kind of develop both
Yes.
At the same time, but I don't know if it's like a button switch that like, oh, I'm the ghost now.
No, it seems like it's based around certain weapons and items. Like the samurai, you're using your swords and you're using your deflect, and you can use your standoff mode, which seems to be
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
that thing looks cool.
Yeah, before an encounter, you're able to press up on the D-pad to start a standoff, and you essentially have to deal the first blow, and you can keep on attacking from there. But it seems that with the ghost and the samurai, you're able to develop much more different attributes. Like the ghost, you're able to develop stealth-based things, so throwing knives and bow and arrow skills are developed through that. But the samurai develops your strength and deflection. It's interesting because this game has a similar mechanic to Sekiro, which is that every time you get kills, you get these little yellow circles at the bottom of the screen above the health bar. And those, I learned, are used for health. Those are like your health.
That's what that's for?
Yeah, so it seems like every time you kill someone, you're able to get more of the circle, and you use that circle to heal or do certain damage combos, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I did not know how that worked. So I remember seeing it in the state of play. I was like, what are these little ping pong balls for?
Yeah, the state of play was intuitive, but it was interesting because like it didn't really. I was very like not overwhelmed, but I was just like, what is all this new stuff going on? Like, how does combat work? Is this a thumper thing? Am I gonna have to like lock onto people? Am I gonna have to do stuff like that? But the combat seems very fluid. Seems like people are comparing it to Arkham games.
Yeah, I've heard that a little bit.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from all these reviews that I've seen is that this game is an Assassin's Creed game that is finally good. Like, it feels like an Assassin's Creed that we deserve almost, because it's finally honed in on all these good parts of an open world stealth action game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to just get into a game where I can explore again, because Breath of the Wild has like really made me biased towards open world games where like I played through all 90 hours of Red Dead 2 and I didn't like it at all.
Dude, that's crazy. I also think that that's a point of aesthetic. Like Breath of the Wild's aesthetic is so stylized and interesting. Red Dead 2's is so kind of grimy and like, you know, it's a western, so it's hard to really,
and it tries to be as realistic as it can, and that ends up like hurting the overall experience of like, oh, I gotta actually watch Arthur stand up for 30 seconds. Like, it was the whole thing. And
this Ghost of Tsushima seems like a blend of the two, where it's a realistic take, but it's also stylized and willing to just like not be a hyper realistic game,
right?
Which is what I want. I never wanted like a samurai simulator, you know, but I do think that it has a lot of really cool elements. I'm very excited to play this game. Comes out this Friday.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how the story what even the story is, other than the basic premise, because they haven't said much of that at all.
The embargo seems to be really the only first hour or two.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, it seems like you can do a lot, but the game really opens up, which is what most of these PlayStation exclusive embargoes have been, which is like we can only really show you the first 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
But the game really opens up after that, and that's a really cool perspective on games right now, because it's like so much is hidden, and I'm excited to find out so much more. One of my favorite things about Breath of the Wild was that it constantly felt like there was stuff to do. Like, I was always like distracted by something. I was like, oh, there's a shrine in the distance, I'll go that way. But there's also like a collectible here, or an encounter here, or like a side quest, or a merchant. And I'm hoping that this game feels like that, where it's just littered with things to do rather than things that I have to do.
Right.
You know?
The best part of it, like, I think of an open world game, especially they do it in Breath of the Wild a lot, but it's like, we'll get you to a high place, and then you can kind of see where stuff is, and then you can kind of plan out your own route and go and do like a shrine there, and then like, oh, there's one after that hill that I can like jump to with the paraglider. And in this game, they kind of showed it in the state of play a little bit. Like, he like walks over a hill on the horse, and then you kind of see like a smokestack, and then maybe a little town farther in the distance. So like it seems like when you're not doing the main quest, there's going to be a lot to kind of explore on your own. And I like that the side quests are a little bit more in depth, where it's like, because I think the game is split into 3 like distinct acts.
Oh yeah.
So let's say you find someone in Act 1, you'll do a couple of missions with them, and then it'll be like you won't see them again until Act 2.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of following this story with this character as they go on until the end of the game, and it kind of resolves in its own like, side story. And I was like, that's such a cool way to make side quests way more interesting than like, oh, I lost my cat. I feel like every game with side quests has a I lost my cat cycle. Like Final Fantasy VII has like 4 I lost my cats.
You gotta find like the pan for the old lady.
Yeah, like in Witcher 3.
Dude, I think that like the design of side quests has always been essentially like XP boost or item boost, and then you're done with that character, you're done with that thing forever. Which is fine. I feel like the work put in to make sure that every single side quest is important till the end of the game is so much work. But the fact that they've put that much work and detail into Ghost of Tsushima is quite refreshing.
Yeah, I'd rather have maybe fewer, side stories, but make them really good, Because Witcher 3 has tons of amazing side quests, but you never really know when you're going to get to one, because they're not all amazing.
Yeah.
But some of them really are, and it seems like this one is going to have, I think they're called, like, tales, is, like, the name of the stories for these characters. So it's, like, the tale of somebody, and you follow that, like, for, like, 8 or 9 quests deep until it resolves. And I'm like, that's such a cool way to get me to care about side characters and also doing the side missions.
Absolutely. I'm worried that means that it's just, like, an escort thing, or not even an escort thing, but, the Assassin's Creed feature or function where they just have you walking with a character through like a town or something, and it's like, I really don't care about this, but hopefully the game doesn't really do anything like that, and if it does, you can like run or you can just skip through stuff.
Yeah, I heard there is some walking and talking stuff, but it autopilots, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's nice.
I think Witcher 3 did a little bit of that, but not like in this one. It's like, if you're walking with somebody, all you have to do is just, press forward. Yeah. You don't have to worry too much about where you're going to go.
Nah, you'll be fine. I'm excited to see more customization open up, because it feels like what's been shown is very early game stuff, so there's just not a whole lot either unlocked or found. So I'm excited to see what like end game customization looks like. I want to look like a super decked out samurai. I'm excited to see what the communities do, what they come up with, what the combo action stuff they're able to do.
Yeah, all those people that are going to be better at it than we are.
Absolutely. People who are going to like understand how to like use skill trees and stuff.
They're going to have all the perfect parries.
Yeah. There's a cool combat function, which is, they're called stances, and you learn them as the game goes on.
Yeah.
You use them for certain enemy types. Use them for either like ranged enemies or like infantry enemies, or you can use them for like brutes and spear people and stuff like that. So it seems like they're really focusing on like trying to make you as well equipped as you can be, and having you utilize all the skills and abilities that you have, which is like having your stances shown up and stuff is really cool.
Yeah, I was listening to a review that was talking about the different, like the variety in the enemy types is actually like really deep, because you'll have like samurai, you'll have like bandits, which are kind of like, your low tier enemies. They don't really know how to use like swords properly, so you're kind of like at an advantage against those types of enemies. I guess you'll probably see a lot more bandits early on in the game.
Yeah.
But then once you start fighting the Mongols, they're hardened warriors that'll like really mess you up if you're not paying attention. And then there's Ronin, which are like, the samurai that have like rejected the code of honor or whatever, and they're super hard to fight. Like they have like they're like on par with you essentially. So it's like
they're better than you.
Yeah. They all have like the straw hats apparently from what I was seeing.
Dude, that's sick.
So
that's really cool.
But within those types of enemies, there's different enemies that will wield different weapons, or they'll have like
Like they look different.
Yeah. So there's lots of variety, which I think is really cool because Breath of the Wild doesn't really have that. Like it has its different classes of enemies, but I remember playing that game and I was like, I wish there was like more stuff to fight. There's more variety.
I wish there was more of a general threat overlooming Breath of the Wild because it just feels very open, but there's nothing really there's nothing against you, which is fine.
That's kind of the downside of Red Dead 2 as well. It's like everybody's just like a cowboy guy with a pistol, and that's you're killing like 5,000 of them by the end of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because there are a lot of moments in this game that reflect like the way of the samurai of like you can do really cool combat stuff, but you also need to like calm down. So we talk, there's the haiku system, which allows you to kind of just take a seat and look at the world, and you can come up with poetry, which is really cool. And then you have these reflection baths that...
Yeah, those raise your health.
Yeah, they do. They raise your health. They raise some attributes, but it's like you're thinking about stuff. You're thinking about your uncle or your father or whatever, which is a really cool mechanic. I think that more games should totally embrace that point of like, let's just sit a moment. Death Stranding kind of did that.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, now you kind of need to like calm down a moment and sit and get your health back and stuff. So
I'm excited to get this game on PS5 or PC even, like, because this game looks absolutely beautiful. But I was watching some Death Stranding PC footage today because that just released today.
It did.
If I played it on that, I would have enjoyed that game so much more than I did originally.
It cemented my point of like, if Death Stranding goes on sale for like maybe 40 or under, I will totally buy that.
Yeah.
That game looks so much better, and I'm way more willing to play through that game if it looks like that, and runs at a much higher frame rate, and I'm able to play it in 4K and stuff.
That's kind of what the last couple of PS4 exclusives have really been for me. It's like, this is great, but I can't wait till I can play this at a much higher fidelity.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready for next gen. I want it like now. Like my poor PS4 is just going to be a jet engine running through Tsushima.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to get these big Sony games right on PS5 like once that comes out.
What a banger for PS4 to go out with.
Yeah.
2 and Ghost of Tsushima. I'm glad that both these games are getting pretty good reception. I can't imagine like audience perception is going to be that bad. I'm wondering if it's like people are going to be upset with it being like quote unquote like difficult for any reason.
I've heard that this game is like a really happy medium between like this Souls Sekiro kind of hard stuff and like the Assassin's Creed kind of hack and slash. This one requires a little bit more strategy.
Yeah.
But it's not like unforgiving like Sekiro is. It's not going to punish you.
Something that I saw that was a really good point was that Assassin's Creed became at a point where you would mark your maps with like little dots and points to show enemies and collectibles, and all you were doing essentially was just picking up spots on your screen, whether they were enemies or whatever. But this game, there's not really like a marker system for anything, so you're able to kind of just enjoy looking at the world.
Yeah,
this feels like a good Assassin's Creed, and I've been wanting that for so long. But I'm very happy that Sucker Punch has such a good title and very impressive tech to be able to pull something like this off.
I honestly think Sucker Punch might be one of the most underrated Sony studios that they have. I feel like not a lot of people give them the same credit that they've given to Insomniac or like Kojima Productions or Naughty Dog.
Yeah. But
they've really made something special here, and I know like it sounds like hypocritical because we haven't actually played it yet, but I'm just looking at it right now, and I'm like, this is incredible for a studio that literally hasn't made anything since the PS4 came out.
Yeah, you're right.
They started this generation with Infamous Second Son, and they waited this whole time to give us like their next game.
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of cool that they started off the PS4, now they're ending it. Very, very cool. Very, very grateful for Sucker Punch willing to put in the time and have really good artists make something like this. I think it'll stand the test of time too. Yeah,
this is also the last game we will see that Sony Interactive Studios in the front, or Sony Interactive Entertainment, because now they're Sony Studios or PlayStation Studios, something like that.
Now they like have because every time you load one of these games, it starts with like Sony Computer Entertainment.
Yeah, it's the last time we're gonna see that.
Really, they're not doing that for PS5?
No, because they made Sony Studios or PlayStation Studios, whatever it's called. It's the same like Xbox thing of like how they bought everybody up and now they're like Xbox Game Studios for their first party.
Dude, Xbox games look like they've just got a bunch of X's on them now because it's like Xbox One Series X, Xbox X, Game Packs, Xbox X equipped, and it's like, what's going on?
There's like 4 stickers. I feel really bad for the people that spent all that time making the box art for these games, and then Xbox is just gonna cover them in stickers that say that they're next gen.
Man, Ghost of Tsushima looks so fun. I'm so excited. The preload was available, so I downloaded it.
Oh yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah, I don't know how big it is, but I'm sure it's done now.
I've heard that it's quite small.
Oh really?
Like only 40 or 50 gigabytes.
40? Wow. That's crazy. That's small now.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when like a 10 gigabyte game was considered a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't pull something like that off, and now we're at 40 gigabytes being small. Very impressive.
Yeah.
To fit a game like that on 40, very good compression.
Makes me wonder what next gen titles are gonna be.
Oh my god.
If over 100 is the norm now.
Yeah, if 100 is like the norm for things, dude, that's crazy. You're gonna need so much storage for your consoles and stuff. I don't know. Very exciting to talk about, and I'm excited to continue playing it. We're definitely going to do a review and discussion similar to The Last of Us, but we want to get our hands on it and get some time with it.
Yeah, this is going to go up on Thursday this week, and I think next week we might just do like a chill episode. Yeah, maybe we can just hang out, maybe talk about ourselves a little bit more while we play this game, and then the week after we'll come at you with a review and discussion, because I think we'll both probably have finished it by then.
Yeah. I think that'll be a good time.
Yeah. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I mean, this game looks tight. We'll be checking it out, and thank you for listening. Thank you for having me, Jarrett.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.